I stood there on my front porch, coffee mug warming my hands, peering out at the little piece of earth I had transformed into something wonderful over the past few years. My garden was my pride, my little corner of the world. After everything fell apart with Clarissa, the divorce had been nasty. Years of arguments, tears, and her walking out the door with half my life in her bag. But I had found peace here, in this tiny Illinois town. Just me and my flowers, roses, tulips, daisies, all of them thriving under my care. A little fence I built myself kept it all safe. It wasn't much, but it was mine. That peace lasted right, up until the day I noticed the moving truck, 3 houses down. At first I didn't think much of it. Just new neighbors, presumably some good folks looking for a quiet life like me. Then I saw her. She stepped out of the passenger side, tossing her hair like she always did when she wanted to feel important. Clarissa, my ex-wife. My stomach dropped. She had moved into my cul-de-sac, like some kind of cruel joke from the universe. And then came Rick. I didn't know his name yet, but I saw him step out of the driver's seat. A huge guy, massive shoulders, buzz cut, the kind of man who looked like he spent his life barking commands. His truck was one of those oversized, chrome-covered beasts. The kind meant to make sure everyone noticed him. I watched them unpack, hoping, praying they'd keep to themselves. But hope is a funny thing. It doesn't last long when reality kicks in. A few days later, I was out watering my flowers when I heard the truck roar to life. I glanced up just in time to see Rick peel out of their driveway, cut the corner too sharp, and roll straight over the edge of my yard. His tires left huge ruts in the grass, tearing up the green I had spent months caring for. I stood there, stance frozen, coffee spilling over my hand, jaw tight. It wasn't the garden, yet. Just the grass. But it felt like a warning. Then it happened again. The next week, and the week after that. Each time he'd swing his truck wide, leaving deep scars across my yard. I gritted my teeth and mended it, telling myself it wasn't worth a fight. But then, one Saturday morning, I was crouched in the dirt, planting fresh marigolds, when I heard the rumble. Before I could even stand, Rick's truck came barreling straight through my garden. The front tires crushed my flowers, the back tires flattened the tulips, petals flew. Stems snapped like bones. I leapt to my feet, heart pounding, fists clenched. He didn't even slow down, just kept going, windows down, laughing, like it was some kind of game. I turned toward their house, and there she was, Clarissa, sipping from a tea glass on the porch, smirking, like she used to when she knew she'd won an argument. I couldn't take it anymore. I marched across the street, dirt still on my knees, and stopped at the foot of their driveway. "Hey!" I called out, my voice shaking with rage. Rick hopped out of his truck, all swagger, wiping his hands on his jeans like he'd just done real work. Clarissa stayed put, watching me with that same smug look. "You mind keeping your truck off my land?" I said, trying to stay calm. Rick smirked. "Too many teeth. What's the big deal, dude? It's just some flowers." My blood boiled. "It's my garden. I've been working on it for years. You don't get to roll over it like it's nothing." He laughed loud and sharp, then glanced over at Clarissa like I was some kind of joke. She finally spoke, voice dripping with the same old venom. "Oh, Marcus, loosen up. Men will be men. Rick's a real man, not like other folks." That hit me hard. A real man. She'd thrown those words at me during the divorce, too. Like I was less than, just because I didn't strut around breaking things to prove a point. Rick chuckled, resting a hand on his truck. "Maybe you should pick a tougher hobby, friend, flowers. That's cute." I said nothing, just turned. Walked back to my house, mouth stiff with anger. Their laughter followed me inside. I shut the door, leaned against it, breathing hard. My garden, what was left of it, was a wreck. Crushed petals, broken stems. Wheel tracks slashed through it like scars. I had spent years building that little sanctuary, and in one morning, they had torn it apart. I peered out the window at their house, at that truck, at the smug faces watching, waiting. And something shifted inside me. This wasn't just about flowers anymore. This was personal. They wanted to push me? Fine. I'd push back. Not with yelling. Not with fists. I wasn't Rick. I'd do it my way. I didn't know how yet. But as I stood there staring at the ruins of my sanctuary, I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The street was dead quiet, save for the low rumble of Rick's truck coming closer. My heart started pumping, not out of fear, but something else. Eagerness? Maybe even excitement. I'd spent all day setting up my trap with Cal, and now it was time to see if it worked. I leaned forward, staring through the blinds, watching that gigantic beast of a car roll down the cul-de-sac. Rick didn't even bother to be subtle. He swung wide, just like always, shooting straight for my yard. I held my breath as the front tires crossed the line, striking the point where I'd buried the mat. Then it happened. Zap. A sharp crackle split the air, low but obvious. The truck shook like it had hit a wall. Rick's voice cut across the night, a high-pitched yelp that didn't resemble his usual tough guy swagger at all. Before he could figure out what was going on, the sprinklers turned on. I'd aimed them just perfectly, and now they blasted chilling water straight at his truck, spraying through the open windows. I could hear him cursing, loud and desperate, as the cold hit him. Then the real show started. The devil roar came next. Cal's speaker let loose a terrible scream, a loud, guttural yell that echoed off the houses like some monster had just clawed its way out of hell. It was louder than I thought. My windows rattled, and I saw Rick's truck veer hard, tires spinning in the damp soil. He was shouting something, probably swearing up a storm, and I couldn't help it. I grinned. The chaos was gorgeous. Mud flew everywhere as he tried to tear. Out, the truck fishtailing like a terrified animal. Then I saw movement at their house. Clarissa came staggering out onto the porch, wrapped in a robe, her hair a mess. She must have heard the ruckus and thought Rick needed her. She took 2 steps off the porch, barefoot, and hit the mat herself. Zap. She let out a wild, screeching sound, bouncing around like she'd stepped on a live wire. Rick, what the hell? Is this? She shrieked, her voice cracking, just as the sprinklers caught her too, splashing her from head to toe. I couldn't stay inside anymore. I grabbed my jacket, slipped on my boots, and stepped onto the porch, keeping my face calm, like I'd just woken up and was checking on the noise. The scene in front of me was better than I'd hoped. Rick was partly out of his truck, one leg, tangled in the mud, water pouring from his buzzed head, his shirt glued to his chest. Clarissa was a sloppy mess, holding her robe, shaking, looking at everything like the universe had personally betrayed her. The noise had stopped. The speaker was on a timer, but the sprinklers kept going, spitting chilly water in short bursts. Crossed my arms, leaned against the railing, and let the silence settle before I spoke. Problems, I muttered, keeping my voice even, like I was just a concerned neighbor. Rick whipped his head around, face red and furious, but he didn't say anything right away. He was too busy trying to pull his boot free from the muck. Clarissa, though, she didn't miss a beat. She stormed toward me, sliding a little on the wet grass, pointing a dripping finger in my face. What did you do, Marcus? This is absurd! We're calling the police! I didn't flinch. I'd been waiting for that threat, and I was ready. Please do, I said, meeting her eyes. I've got weeks of surveillance footage of you two damaging my property. Cops would love to see it. That stopped her cold. Her mouth opened, then shut. I could see the gears turning behind those angry eyes. Rick finally pulled free from the mud and stomped over, fists balled up like he wanted to take a swing. You think you're smart, huh? He growled, water still dripping down his neck. Setting up some little booby trap? You're sad. I shrugged, not moving an inch. I think it's pretty smart, actually. Maybe you should try staying on your own side of the street next time. He took a step closer, chest puffed out, but Clarissa grabbed his arm. "Rick, don't!" she hissed, voice low but sharp. "He's not worth it." She was drenched now, her robe sticking to her, and for once, she didn't look so smug. They stood there glaring at me, and I just stared back, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. The cameras were rolling. The trap had worked, and for once, I wasn't the one on the defensive. Rick muttered something under his breath, undoubtedly a curse, and turned back to his truck, kicking at the mud like it had personally wronged him. Clarissa gave me one last, venomous glare before stomping after him, her shoes squishing with every step. "This isn't over," she called over her shoulder, but it sounded hollow, like she wasn't so sure anymore. I watched them go, the truck limping back to their driveway, leaving a trail of water and defeat behind them. I lingered on the porch a while longer, letting the cool night air settle around me. The sprinklers finally shut off. The yard was a mess. Mud and tire, marks everywhere. But I didn't care. This wasn't about the garden.